July 19th, 2025, and I'm here with my good friend and also a teacher of mine, Michael Harris, Dr. Michael Harris.
Howdy.
I like to start these off by giving you 5 or 10 minutes to kind of give a cliff notes on your biography, let people know where you're coming from and your experience. I guess if I were to describe you, I would place you in the realm of wizard,
Okay. Thank you.
especially in the realm of mindset, because I know, like me, you have a love and passion for NLP and hypnosis. Yeah, if you'd like to give us the cliff notes.
Okay. Well, I'm pretty sure I can do it in 5 or 10 minutes. I started in NLP all the way back in 86. And I was working for a company and I was working for a marble company. And, the people that put marble on the floors and the walls and the ceilings. And we had moved from mausoleums into high rises. So the company had grown really, really fast. So we had the guys at the office, so you had architects and the business owner and the salespeople, and we had the craftsmen, and it was old school. I mean, most everyone, including myself, you start as a helper and then you become an apprentice and then you become a tradesman and you go to apprenticeship school and all of this other, and you work up. And the disparity between uh, how things are communicated from the top all the way down here to the rank and file. And rank and file, most of the helpers were either high school kids or college dropouts, ex-military, or my favorite, ex-felons. Okay, so you know as well as I do in NLP, your model of the world is based on your language. Okay, so you got these guys over here and they're talking about this and profit and putting stones on the wall and productivity and safety, and these guys over here are talking about their paycheck. So I read an article or read an advertisement in a newspaper. I don't know if they have it in Wyoming, but it's all over Texas, called the Green Sheet. And I picked up a thing and it said, "Learn how to communicate." And it was a Friday night, free thing. So I went to this and it sounded okay. And so I went to the weekend. Uh, and learned a little bit about NLP, just enough to whet your appetite, because of course they're selling the practitioner and the masters. So I called my company and said, "Hey, I'm thinking about taking this communication course. It'd be really fun if you'd pay for it." And they're like, "Sure." So I went to the weekend, went to their practitioner training, and let me tell you, dude, uh, think about your first powdered donut. Okay. It was just, I gotta have more. And so I went through the practitioner training, I went through the masters, and I immediately applied it to what I was doing. I was working in very, very dangerous, high altitude construction. And when I decided to leave that industry and start my own business, I don't know if you know this, like at the age of 16, I decided to quit watching sports and started doing sports. So I've like literally exercised my entire life. And I opened up, I originally opened a martial arts studio, but people were more interested in what I was doing, weight training. So I had a kid. His name was George. He was a little bit overweight. I gave him some exercises, and this fellow dropped weight like a rocket. And his mom contacted me and goes, "I saw what you did with George. Could you do that for me?" And I'm like, "I don't know, maybe." So I met with her. Okay. And gave her some stuff to do, did a little modification on her eating program, drops weight. Start getting more and more phone calls. And now in the personal training business. And I did that for 17 years. And at one point, I had three gyms, 17 trainers working for me. And I realized that I was no longer doing what I really loved doing, which was training, teaching. So in my infinite wisdom, I sold my gym and I retired. And I decided that I was going to play golf for a year. And at the end of a year, I decided I did not want to play golf every day for the rest of my life. So I started thinking, what am I going to do here? I know there's and I don't know where you got your NLP training, but when I was doing it, the emphasis was do this, you don't really need hypnosis. If you do this, you don't really need hypnosis training. And for whatever reason, it didn't really sit correctly. So I decided I was going to take a hypnosis course. And I took in a hypnosis course from one of the most interesting guys ever. So if you ever meet a guy who's an ex-hairdresser who used to have a trained chimpanzee show and traveled around the country and now he's a hypnotist, go to that class because you will laugh your tail off. He was awesome. This guy has done he did forensic hypnosis for the JFK assassination. He actually did forensic hypnosis with the witnesses. Fascinating, fascinating guy. And his name is Dr. Mike. And Dr. Mike only does stop smoking now. That's all he does. And charges $200. And he's got this van and on it says, you want to smoke, that's your business. You want to stop, that's my business. Call me. Yeah.
Nice.
Okay, so I went to it, and during that process, even though it was a weekend training, very remedial, everything went click. I now understood why all of the people who were teaching and training NLP said you don't really need hypnosis because they were hypnosis trained. It's kind of like, yeah, you've heard of Bruce Lee, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that guy. And one of his thing was, you don't need this, you don't need to train this, you don't need to do kata, you don't need to do, this and this and this. Do this. Okay. And the reason being is that this guy was trained in about five different martial arts, including Western boxing. And he took it and he refined it all the way down to here, but he left out the part where he had all of these basics and all of these mechanics drilled into his muscles. So yeah, he didn't need it. Okay. And that's what I think the biggest issue with most people that are trying to do hypnosis or NLP is you can't skip the basics. And when I discovered Ericksonian hypnosis, it was just like, wow.
What was the timeline for that? The Ericksonian.
Um, from clinical standard hypnosis, sit down, put your hands right here, close your eyes. I'm going to tell you something. It was about 3 or 4 years. I had known about Milton Erickson, but I didn't get it. I just it was so outside of my realm of thinking that I didn't get it and until I did. And now the majority of what I do is conversational hypnosis. I very seldom do a formal trance. If somebody wants it, they're like, wait a second, I paid you for hypnosis. Okay, let me get my magic pen. I'm going to wave it, close your eyes, and then I do conversational hypnosis with them. So it sounds like that I'm just having a conversation. But you've talked to me before. And You already know that when I begin to slow my voice down and speak very specifically about whatever it is that I'm going to say, it's a pattern. And there's really no difference between your eyes being open and your eyes closed. So to continue my story, I did that for a really, really long time. And then I got hungry and I went back to NLP California and got my NLP health certification to help people with.
Nice.
Yeah, it was like big fun. I met a couple of people, and one of the people from the class, we have actually met one time in our time together as being friends, but I've known her for 20 plus years because we talk all the time. Okay. But yeah, but that class was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. And a lot of the focus was on autoimmune and basically things that medical science, they've got no way of deciding how it begins. They have no treatment plan. They don't cure anything. They just give you, dope to, soothe your symptoms, and it never goes away. It's a perfect business model, but does it really help people? So
Right.
for example, um, what they diagnosed me with was type 2 diabetes. Okay, that was in January. Okay, got a call from my doctor. I did a blood test at my wife's insistence. She's like, "You're losing way too much weight. You need to take a look at this." So I'm like, "Okay." Went and took a blood test. Get a phone call from the doctor. I'm driving down the road, headed to a client's house, and they said, Did you know you have diabetes?" "No." "Did you know your blood sugar is 141?" I'm sorry, 441.
441. Oh man.
That's like in orbit. And they said, "Did you know your A1C is 13.2?" I'm like, "No." And the doctor goes, "I have a question for you." I'm like, "Okay, what is it?" They said, "Why aren't you in the hospital on an IV drip?" And I'm like, "I don't know." Like right now, I'm headed to a client. So I've started examining this thing, and yes, it took me a while to find an endocrinologist and get on the right meds. I got my blood sugar down and all this other stuff. But from a therapeutic uh, aspect, one of the things that you need to ask yourself, if your blood sugar is really high or if you're insulin resistant, ask yourself this question: What are you bitter about? Because if you think about diabetes, particularly type 2, it's your body can't tolerate sweetness. What's the
Mhm.
opposite of sweetness? Bitterness. Okay. So in this process, it started in January. It is now July. I took my blood sugar this morning because, that's what you do. It was 101. Okay. Anything from anything from 120 to 85 is normal. I am no longer on their, I'm not even in the pre-diabetic platform anymore. Technically I'm normal. I'm going to keep an eye on it, of course. Okay. But one of the things that you need to think about in terms of what I do is everything that people do or say, what if it was a metaphor? What if it was a description of what they're experiencing, but they don't have words to explain it?
That's an interesting perspective to take on there.
Yeah. So it's, that's kind of where I have arrived to in you and I met in a training seminar, and like that different people do different stuff. And I would say that I had an opportunity over the last 2 years to work with somebody who's absolutely phenomenal. And if you ever have the opportunity to work with Harlan Kilstein, that man will change your life. And what I would like to do is I would like to be one of those people as well. I would like to people go, there's a bald guy that lives in Fort Worth. Maybe you should have a conversation with him. I did. It changed my life. Maybe it'll work for you too. That's kind of where like my mindset is. And so consequently, from this, since I've known you, Andrew, I have written like 8 books. And I've got a master course that's starting next week based on a book that I have been promoting the hell out of, for about 3 months called Ericksonian Alchemy. There's one coming behind it uh, in January of next year, which is on Dave Dobson. Dave Dobson is the other Milton Erickson. Okay. Have you ever heard of Joseph Pilates?
No,
Joseph Pilates was a contemporary of Jack LaLanne. Okay, everybody's heard of Jack LaLanne.
I haven't. I haven't. Can
You
you
haven't
tell
heard
me
of
that?
Jack.
Uh-uh.
You know why? Because you're so much younger than me. Okay, Jack LaLanne was the guy before Richard Simmons, before any of the other people. Jack LaLanne was on TV in the morning and he did simple calisthenic exercises for housewives. Okay. And he'd get on there and he'd explain his exercise and stuff. And then he'd give his wife June a broomstick and he would work her to death for about 30 minutes on TV. But Jack LaLanne was like super famous. And Joseph Pilates, who literally changed the world of ballet, nobody's ever heard of. And Dave Dobson is kind of that way as well. In the olden days, thousands of years ago, even when I had hair, uh, NLP training was 24, depending on which one you went to, is either 24 or 28 days in length. So imagine, you got a wife, you got a family, got a job, etc. Are you going to be able to take off 24, 28 days to go to this training? Not very many people were able to do that, but nationwide, they were able to amass, 60, 80, 100 people. That NLP health certification that I went to, there were 60 people in there.
And that was back when it was that long.
Yeah, well, the health certification that I went to was 15 days, but they got smarter, and it's 5 days, 2 months off, 5 days, 2 months off, 5 days. That's a lot easier to manage uh, for most people. But like I said, it used to be you started here, you exited here, and during this process people that came out of that NLP training were completely different. Okay. And I mean, think about Tad James and Melissa Tears and uh, L. Michael Hall, and all of these people that we know and recognize as experts, they went through those training. You ever heard of a guy named Anthony Robbins?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, like heard a rumor about him. Well, he was a young, starry-eyed student of Bandler and Grinder, and Bandler and Grinder got tired of doing these long uh, trainings, and he's like, "I'll do it." So for about 2 years, he did 24-day trainings. That guy, if you really want to get how elegant somebody can be, absolutely Anthony Robbins. But most people don't know. Have you ever seen it? You know, when he's talking, you'll see him do this on the video. You can watch any video he's doing. He's like out of here, and he'll reach out and bring it back and does all, does all this. That's not Erickson. And that's definitely not Bandler or Grinder. Do you know who it is?
Dobson.
Dobson. So in January, when I do the Dobson training, the level of nonverbals, nobody's teaching this. Nobody's teaching this at all. And I find that amazing. And then the one that I'm going to release in the summer of 26, and remind me, I'll send you a book. And like they did their absolute level best to take it off the internet, but I know several people, including myself, that have a copy, and it's called Secret, Don't Do It. And it's a book, it's 500 and something pages. It is super well documented on the dark side of hypnosis. And you've seen people, they talk about, do this, do that, the dark side. And then we had all those people that were teaching complete nerds how to cruise women and all that other stuff. What if there were a book out there that taught you how to unlearn all of your conditioning, to disconnect from all of the media uh, mass hypnosis. Okay. Do you ever watch the news?
Not really, actually. I
Okay.
mean, a little bit, but
Okay. Just for fun today, go to CBS, ABC, any of the main media channels. Okay.
any of
And
the
all
fake
I
news
want,
channels.
yeah, the fake news channels. Okay. The only thing I want you to do is watch their opening. Okay. And what they're opening, it'll go logo, whatever it is, and you'll see all this stuff around it, and it'll go like this. Boom. And then it pops back out. Okay.
Yep. Hmm.
And it repeats over and over and over and over and over and over again. And what it does is it induces trance. And then they tell you whatever it is that they want you to hear. And then they do the logo again.
Yeah. Yeah. They start movies that same way. It's
Right.
like it's a flash.
Exactly. So, how would you like to interrupt that?
Well, you tell me.
No, well, no. There'll be a book. There'll be a book. There'll be a training
Okay.
next summer. But anyway, that's kind of uh, where I'm at in turn. And I would love to say, oh yeah, I learned this, and you know, and I've been at this level, for all this time. No. Okay. This is, and I hope that your listeners really get this. This is a lifetime of learning. I'll actually tell you something crazy. You ready? Did you know that I teach yoga?
I didn't know that.
Okay. When I retired from my personal training gig, I decided at the urging of a friend of mine to start taking yoga. I loved it. I freaking loved it. Okay. And I still had clients there that went back to school, I got my doctorate, blah, blah, blah. And they're like calling me and going, we got to do something. We got to do something. I'm like, I sold my gym. I don't want to go to a gym. I can come to your house and teach you yoga. And they're like, yes, anything. I'm like, okay. So to this day, I still have two clients that I see. I see one 5 days a week. I see one 3 days a week, and we do yoga, and they have some kettlebell training protocols and stuff like that. During the fifth through the seventh year that I was actively teaching yoga, I was teaching 2, 3 classes a day. During that time period, every single or almost every single class that I was teaching, my body was going, wow, 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 because muscles were connecting in a way that I hadn't ever noticed. Like the ability to move with I'd like to say without effort, but that's not true. It's moving with intention. And that's how I believe that hypnosis and NLP works as well. I believe that you have to constantly drill and constantly practice your skills to get better, to become more elegant, to become more fluid. And the other thing that I would highly, highly recommend is that you do an installation on yourself in which every time you work with someone, every time that you help someone, that you also keep a little bit of that help, that shift, that change for yourself. Okay, if you think about the clients that you attract, okay, why are you attracting them? What vibrational resonance are you putting out there that they're coming to you for your help if you have any skill set at all? Like literally, you could have no skill whatsoever in hypnosis. Go, okay, close your eyes, take a breath. I'm going to count you down from 10 all the way down to 1, and you're going to figure out how to solve your problem. And you sit there and in complete silence, drink a cup of coffee, and then at the end of 5 minutes, go, okay, now I'm going to count you all the way back up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, eyes open, wide awake. You'll get a 50% hit on success by giving no instructions whatsoever. So one of the things that has really, really shifted inside of me is I may know a lot of stuff, but I don't know anything about you, Andrew. And if I'm busy thinking about what, you're going to say this, so I'm going to say that, I'm not paying attention. I'm not listening to you. I'm not listening to what your body is telling me. If you're talking, if I say, so how's your day going? And then the person goes, my day's going great. Okay. But if they say, my day's going great, did you see the asymmetrical movement? Okay.
Mhm.
I'm gonna pay more attention to your asymmetrical movement than I am going to pay attention to your lips flapping because you want me to think everything's okay. And that to me is about mastery, about paying attention to breath and pupil dilation. And you know that when, if you told somebody, I want you to like think about something that made you feel really good, and they swallow, they've entered a better trance than the one they came in with. And to me, that's what this work is about, is I don't know everything. As a matter of fact, the more I learn, the less I like understand that I know anything. But I have learned that if I offer somebody a better trance and they accept it, their life will probably get better. If if they don't, you know, ex you can't know everything. There, it's not possible. Maybe the trance that they're living in is far more robust than the one you're offering. Okay. It's just like it's it is about connecting at a different level. Am I getting too woo-woo?
Not at all. No,
Okay.
I would like to ask if you were to encapsulate why you believe this is such a powerful piece. I mean, talking about NLP and hypnosis, Eric's on you, so
Well,
why you believe they're so powerful and what what it is you are so well, I mean, I can tell you're really passionate about it. I've already known that, but in terms of how you've helped people, like what that does for you, that propels you for even for more forward with it. And now that
well,
you're
they pay me
doing
a
more
lot of money,
mature.
dude. But
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. I
Yeah.
know you're the kind of
However,
person though. It's not about the money for you. I know that much.
yeah, that's
Uh,
true. Yeah. I do charge a lot. And one of the reasons I charge a lot is because I run into people who have that don't have any money or have very little money or have been run through the medical world where they got all of their money and all of their insurance and all of that other stuff, but and they're still not well and they need help. Okay. So, oh, I can tell you something else. N- do you know that I work with cancer patients?
yeah, you did tell me that.
Yeah. And you know, and they have to pay me at least $1.
Fair enough.
So that way they don't have skin in the game. But the answer to your question is um, maybe in a different world or at a different time, I would be one of those kooky guys that lived outside of the village, you know, that nobody really wanted to come see, but they would come see me anyway when they had to. They would bring a chicken or do whatever, and maybe I would give them some herbs, or maybe we would gather everybody together and do a ritual tattoo. Okay. And while we're doing the ritual tattoo and everybody is, you know, like weaving to the drum music, we're not going to talk about the hallucinogenic drink that we gave them at dinner time. The tribe absorbs the wound. Okay. And we call it hypnosis now. Okay. But healing has always existed. And we called it different things. There are different associated practices and stuff like that. So you know, I know you're not married, but if you were married, okay, and then you got divorced and you called me up and you said, man, I'm really, really sad and really, really angry that my life has changed. Okay. And if I said to you, no problem, this is what I want you to do. I want you to go sit out by that tree that's right behind you. And I'm going to go in the backyard and I'm going to sacrifice a goat for you. And all you got to do is you sit there and you're going to feel it and you're going to feel a lot better tomorrow. If that was within our culture, which it's not anymore, but
Thankfully.
yeah, but I mean, it's like hypnosis and NLP, in my opinion, are the most direct way of connecting people back to themselves. Okay. If we used to heal ourselves, you get sick, you get better. We didn't have any medicine. Okay. You, things happen. You get injured, you break a bone, it heals up, you get a cut, your body knows how to heal. Well, what if it's still the same? Do you really think that we have changed all that much in, 150, 200,000 years? I think that we're still the same. But I think that our society, our technology, our the amount of frequencies that we have introduced on this planet is messing people up. And
Agree.
hypnosis is a way, it's not the way, but it is a way of getting rid of the noise, of slowing people down and giving them an opportunity to listen to that internal wisdom. Okay. And, to me, hypnosis is far more fun than, like, say, flying to Peru, living in a tent in 95-degree weather with 100% humidity and taking ayahuasca and vomiting, for 12 hours. Yeah, hypnosis sounds easier.
Uh,
Okay.
I I'm right there with you on that for
Yeah.
sure.
Okay, and it's like I would think that literally, to me, the bottom line is our language. Okay, the way that we talk and we think and the way that we speak to ourselves and speak to others creates our world. What if what you're saying to yourself or saying to others is hateful or mean or just inaccurate? And what if you could help people talk to themselves more kindly? You ever seen anybody with you ever had a puppy or a kitten or something like that? And when people come over, they're like, oh my God, how are you? You're so sweet.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do we do that with,
Get the puppy voice out.
yeah, do we actually do that with friends, family, our loved ones, with ourselves? How would that change people's lives if they began to do that? When you see somebody, you go, how are you? How have you been? I'm so glad to see you. And frickin' mean it. It's not like, oh, how are you? 3, 2, 1. Let me tell you what I've been doing. Okay. It's vastly, vastly different.
I'm right there with you.
Eh. So did I answer your question?
Ah,
Okay.
absolutely. Yeah, and
Okay.
so just as we're on the topic of language, I think really important overarching theme within hypnosis and Ericksonian NLP, it's that everything is communicating. Everything is
Mhm,
communicating. Our words, our tone, inflection, and like you had mentioned earlier with the asymmetry, the body.
mhm,
And what I love about that is it brings it all together
mhm,
so that it's really a holistic approach from my point of view, at least.
mhm.
Do you have anything to say about that?
Yeah, I do. The Have you ever heard the comment that uh in nothing against Bandler and Grinder, they changed the what they created allowed me to be who I am. Okay. But I do know that Gregory Bateson formally apologized to Milton Erickson for introducing those guys to him. And one of the things that Erickson said was they cracked the nut, but they left the meat. And, we have, like, for a really long time, all of my focus was about language patterns and this and that and all of that other stuff. What if it was only this much of the actual healing process? I've kind of I lost your audio.
Oh, can you hear me?
Oh, I can now. Yes.
Okay.
So,
I got some new headphones. I don't know. Just
yeah.
these, but
So, like, there is almost no emphasis. They use the term nonverbals, pay attention to your nonverbals. Okay. Nobody's teaching that. Nobody's teaching, what happens when you tilt your head this way. Okay. What happens when you tilt your head that way? Now, you and I are mirror image. So when I tilt my head to the right, I'm tilting to your left. Okay. When I go, if I tilt to my left, I'm tilting to your right. You know from NLP, that's your past, theoretically. That's your future in most right-handed people. Okay. They don't teach that in basic communication class. You're up, you're talking to humans, you're standing on stage, or you're just sitting with your friend. And you do something ridiculous like take your left hand and go, I'm having a really tough time. Okay. Where am I pointing? Where am I leaning? I'm leaning to your future. It There is so much going on non-verbally in which, you could go, Andrew, I learned something the other day. And let me tell you, when I'm finished talking about this, it's gone forever. Okay. Where did it go?
fast to the
Yeah.
left. Well, my left.
Right.
Yeah.
To your past.
Yeah.
Okay. And, there's just 100 different things that you can do. And that's what I was talking about like practicing. What if you practiced mirroring or leading somebody's eye movements? Okay. So you go like, you know, think about, what your mom would look like wearing a Bozo the Clown wig. Okay. And take my eyes up and to your left. It's not going to be in your memory unless she just happened to wear a Bozo the Clown wig. So when you say that, you would probably need to go up and to your right, which would be my left remembered, but learning to pace people's where do they look when they remember something? Where do they look when they're trying to think about what to say? Almost everybody on earth, when they are accessing feelings, they will either look down or look to their right. When they're just talking, that auditory, digital, blah 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 blah. Yeah, I felt fine, and I felt felt this enthusiasm. It's either straight ahead or it's down to the left, which is
It's
all
kinesthetic.
fascinating, except if you're giving the person that you're talking to opposite signals. Okay, so that would be the next layer of training. I do remember going to when I went to the NLP health certification. I was talking to a guy, and at that particular time, I was seeing a lot of clients, a lot. So I had like mechanically trained into my eye movements to match theirs. And he asked me something, and I just went to that spot. He goes, "What are you doing?" He stopped me because I had like overwritten my normal eye patterns to the point. He's like, "That's like, how did you do that?" It's like repetition, 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 repetition. But if you really want to help people and you really want to become elegant, it to me, you've been studying language patterns and presuppositions and all that stuff. You have a good working knowledge, right?
I would say so.
Yeah. So if you can do adverbial, adjective, temporal, and spatial presuppositions, the green dragon versus a dragon, okay, that's over there, and I saw him 2 weeks ago. Okay, but if you can do that, you probably don't need to practice your presuppositions on people. Just let it roll. Okay, but learning how to be with someone. Let me ask you a question. Do you agree that when you talk to most people, they have this, pardon me for a second. Okay. They have this mask. It's right here. They're like, don't look behind the mask here. Here I am. Everything's fine. Everything's groovy, you know. But what happens when this pops out or this pops out or looks up over the top? That's the part I want to talk to. That's,
Yeah.
you know, we have all been trained, to put on our happy face, and go to work, do this, do that, dragging our guts behind us. Hey, you got a whale harpoon stuck out of the side of your head. I don't see a whale harpoon sticking out of my head. Okay. It's like, it's, it's interesting because most people's wounds are only invisible to them. They're not visible, or they are visible to other people if you know what to look or listen or feel for. And I keep wondering, am I just like getting too far out into the universe here?
No, no, not at all. No, I was just
Okay.
thinking, yeah, to the trained, like someone like you, absolutely. And then I was thinking also maybe someone who's not so much trained, but just highly perceptive in whatever way. Um, can't say I 100% agree in every term because I think a lot of people lack awareness to the point where they don't pick up shit. But I wouldn't say that's universal or too
Right.
general either.
My lovely bride is an empath.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about.
She
It's
is also intuitive.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Those are not the same things, but
no,
she has that gift. I never
mhm.
wanted that gift because
Feel everybody's pain as they walk by.
yeah, that kind of thing. And it's like, no, thank you. I'll just stay over here in my happy little world. And but there are people out there that have, and I'm just going to keep calling it a gift. They have that gift. For those people, they don't need to change who they are. They might consider learning how to manage their energy. And I have worked with several people like that, and when when they meet somebody, when they talk to somebody, they literally wrap their energy around that person. And then it's too late, dude. Okay. And when I started doing it, I didn't know anything about energy or frequency or any of that stuff. But I did figure out what I was doing, is which, where I take my energy and reach out and I can touch that person. I can touch them on the nose. Okay. I could like just stick a toe in and then step back. And that is a skill worth learning. There's a person that you and I, who shall remain nameless, trained with. Do you remember that exercise where he was talking about literally walking around to the back of somebody, step in, step out? Do you
Oh yeah.
recall?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. And sounds really, really simple. What happens if you forget to step out?
Yeah. You'll take on the
Right.
quality and
Yeah. And since I am not naturally kinesthetic, I'm more of a AKV or VAK person, and particularly if I'm running VAK or AVK uh, stack, okay, that means my kinesthetic channel is wide open. It's kind of like being, kinesthetically autistic. And that's what's happening with a lot of these people that are, they are energetically or emotionally sensitive. They could be visually sensitive, in which, like, I was talking about my lovely bride. She can't watch violent movies. Uh-uh. She cannot watch scary, like whoop, 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 slasher movies. Oh no, she won't sleep for 2 days because she's like that. She doesn't watch movies. Okay. She steps into them. And that is, we could have a whole conversation on meta programs about how people do whatever it is that they do. But the really important part is just paying attention to what is it that they're doing? What do they want? Okay. And what are they doing instead? And as a practitioner, as a hypnotist or a change worker, can you help them bridge that gap? I mean, ultimately, okay, you and we're going to go deer hunting, right? And it's the first snow, and we come across one of your favorites, a Californian who drove up, and he's stuck in the snow because that's what they do. They park in a snowbank. And we stop and we help him get out of the snowbank. And off he goes, to his merry little place that he was going to. We'll never know what happened to him. We will just continue down the road, because we're going deer hunting. Okay. That to me is my perfect metaphor for how we help people. Is, we came across this guy and he was stuck in the snow. We got him out of the snow. Great. We did not, take his car and jack it up and change the tires and change the engine and change the oil and vacuum the interior and make sure that he's got, food, shelter, clothing, hot coffee to go and all this other stuff. We just got him out of the snow. And I think that that is the big mistake that people make when they first get into this industry, is A, that they have to fix all of their problems before they can help other people. And B, that they have to help the person that they're helping completely resolve whatever problem that they have before the person can move on. Okay. I thought of an example. I literally worked with somebody the other day. This fella was a voracious drinker and did a lot of cocaine and ended up spending his inheritance. He's a little pissed off at himself for spending his inheritance because now he has to work for a living. Okay. But he has successfully stopped drinking, successfully stopped doing drugs and buying hookers and all of that other stuff. But his overall plan is to completely eradicate that out of his system. He wants to, you've heard of the NLP technique, change history. Okay. What he wants to do is erase history. Can you do that?
Not
Not,
not in this
not,
not in
not,
this
not
universe yet.
without, yeah, well, you possibly could, but not without a barbiturate drip, you know, they're in a coma. Okay. But what you can do is, and you should try this. It works. Have you ever had anybody that was a barking dog? Dog barks, fly goes across the front yard, dog bark, 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 bark. Okay. What a dog trainer will do is teach that dog to bark on command. And when you give the command, they bark, 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 bark. Okay. Then you stop giving the command, you stop activating that trigger, and the dog stops barking. Now, it hadn't forgotten how to bark. It's just waiting for the signal. So when you're dealing with people with bad memories or they have addictions that they have worked through, or they have, whatever it is, anchor it. Anchor it into this little pile over here and put it way, way down there past the horizon, and then just never fire the anchor off.
I think you read my mind there, Michael. Yeah, I was
Hold on,
actually
wait. No, I didn't.
well, we're kind of getting up. I'm trying to keep these close to an hour, just because an
Okay.
hour is already a long time, but
Okay.
for most people. Uh,
Cool.
but yeah, I wanted to kind of wrap up with one. I was going to ask you for something practical that people can do, just people
Sure.
who are tuning in and listening to this, something practical they can do to implement some of the things you've been talking about through this
Yeah.
call and interview.
Yeah.
And then after that, any information about you and how people can get in touch with you for whatever, whether that's
Okay.
hypnosis or
Well,
training or anything like that.
the easiest way to get a hold of me is uh like I'm on almost every social media possible. It's crazy. But if you go to drmichaelharris.com, you will find me. If you go to Facebook and type in the real Michael Harris, because I have a sense of humor and got that name, okay, they can find me. And there, I offer 30-minute free consultations. I'm very responsive to email and to social media. Let's have a conversation. In terms of uh, books, on my website, you just click on products and you get to see all the books. The book that I'm really, really excited about right now is my Ericksonian Alchemy. The training, the master class begins next week. And I know that, like, you took NLP training and hypnosis training. It's expensive, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very expensive.
Okay.
You gotta
How
travel.
about how about 16 weeks for $500?
Sounds like a steal.
Yeah. Okay. And it's like, I'm interested in helping people. I set a personal goal for myself that I want to help 25,000 people in a 5-year period. Okay. And it just occurs to me that if I'm offering classes that actually have value and I'm trying to do something other than make Porsche payments, more people will come. All right. So your sound went away again.
Oh, can you hear me now? Okay. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so thank you for having me on. No, it was a blast.
Y- Yeah, yeah. And just as a wrap up, any like practical exercise or something like that that tuning in. I know you had mentioned the anchoring and but maybe
Hmm.
if you could simplify something even a little more, so maybe someone who doesn't know those terms or
Okay.
doesn't even know hypnosis or NLP yet,
All
just
right.
something real simple.
The absolute simplest thing is if you've got, yeah, and we've done this where we did the big black frame. Okay. If you've got a memory or if you've got a something that you want to dispose of, just throw it up on a screen, boom, right out in front of you. Take a big black frame and put around it. Okay. Then pretend it's a black and white TV and scroll the contrast, till it's all the way white, and scroll the contrast all the way until it's all the way black, and then make a decision whether you like black or white. Okay. Then you grab a hold of it and with your dominant index finger, and dip it in gold ink and write all of the lessons that you learned from that experience. Okay. And some people write for 10 seconds. Some people write for 20 minutes with both hands. Okay. But once you're finished writing all of the lessons that you learned, you shrink it down, throw it behind you to the very back of your mind. And you've seen me do this. I always call maintenance. I got my imaginary hypnotic phone and pick up the phone and go, maintenance. And I go, I need you to like nail that to the wall. And it's like nailing it to the wall. And then you try, okay, and it's gone. Okay. And it's like, okay, try to bring it back. If it comes back, you need to like repeat the process. If it doesn't come back, you need to ask yourself that question. What would I like in there instead? Was it in your head, in your heart, in your gut? Okay. And whatever space that you've created by shrinking that memory down, what do you want in there? You want joy, you want compassion, you want empathy, you want uh do you want more confidence? What do you want in there? And then you just take that and put in whatever it is that you want and spin it around and slap it in there. And the really fun part about your mind is when you install something, it stays there. Most of our memories, we have them by either circumstance or by chance. So by choosing what you want to remember and choosing how you want to feel is going to be, whoever's listening to this, your best bet at long-term happiness.
All right. Awesome, Michael. That was great. So I'm
Cool.
thinking that's going to be very helpful for a lot of people out there. Um,
Outstanding. Well,
yeah,
thanks for having
and
me.
I'll make sure to throw some of your info, like your website and stuff, into the link, the description
Cool.
link.
I'll send that to you.
All right. Thank you, Michael. Appreciate this interview. Well, we'll look for having
All
you
right.
back again.
Thank you, sir. Enjoy your day.